Modern organizations face a paradox. They have an abundance of specialized software tools, yet suffer from a severe poverty of operational context. Critical information is systematically fragmented across inboxes, spreadsheets, and portals, with every new tool drifting into isolated clusters. This fragmentation creates a massive coordination tax. In data-heavy sectors like construction and property management, teams spend up to 40% of their time searching across disparate tools and manually reconciling records. Often the reaction is to throw unsupervised language models directly at this raw data. Businesses feed an AI agent their messy corporate history, unrelated emails, and raw documents. As this diagram shows, raw records create noise. The AI consumes unnecessary tokens, returns conflicting information, and is significantly more likely to hallucinate fabricated answers. An agent reading a chaotic chat history to determine a project's status is merely guessing. It lacks the epistemic grounding required for business operations. To scale safely, firms must engineer a structured operating layer beneath their existing tools. The solution begins with the data layer. This foundational tier establishes a single source of truth across disparate software environments without forcing a full platform replacement. In an unstructured environment, a file name is often incorrectly treated as a dependable record, but a file on its own lacks business context and relational integrity. This relational tree shows how the data layer transforms disconnected artifacts into verified records. An architectural drawing or financial estimate is systematically connected to the correct project phase, professional discipline, and revision history. Each record receives a persistent ID and maintains its source provenance. This ensures the system can programmatically reconcile conflicting information by tracing every data point back to its original source link and timestamp. By establishing data identity first, organizations eliminate the manual hunt for reliable evidence. You create the necessary structural baseline for scaling operations. Building on those records is the workflow layer. This tier defines the precise mechanisms by which information moves through the organization. This architecture pushes information through named stages and explicit review gates. It replaces ambiguous manual handoffs with defined rules for how work moves from initial intake validation to final handover. This framework ensures that critical processes no longer stall silently in unmonitored folders. Every stage has a clear owner responsible for the next action. The system actively monitors deadlines and review periods. If a conflict or delay occurs, exceptions are automatically pushed to human reviewers before they can compound into project-wide setbacks. By governing the workflow explicitly, the business turns reactive confusion into continuous, auditable progress. The apex of the stack is the automation and AI layer. This is the engine for high-velocity delivery, but its reliability depends entirely on the structured tiers beneath it. Because the data is structured, agents can operate with bounded execution. They work within narrow permissions and deterministic guardrails, accessing only the role-based context required for their specific task. This targeted approach reduces the context window, which lowers token costs and accelerates response times. Every drafted output or summary explicitly cites the verified records used to generate it. Critically, the architecture maintains a mandatory human approval bait. Agents are restricted to preparing drafts and summarizing data. A named, accountable professional must explicitly authorize high-impact actions and commercial commitments. By isolating data preparation from final authority, the system mitigates the risk of model hallucinations, keeping commercial liability clearly defined and manageable. When business memory is structured, the operational outcomes change. Reporting becomes faster, handoffs are cleaner, and fewer commercial opportunities are buried in fragmented systems. Historically, boosting output meant hiring massive teams, but as headcounts grow, the communication overhead and coordination bottlenecks grow even faster, creating a congested web of information silos. The structured layer changes this by capturing institutional knowledge in a unified data graph. It makes critical project context accessible across the entire enterprise, rather than trapping it in individual human memory. This enables a shift toward high-velocity operational pods. As noted here, small cross-functional teams can now execute significantly more work when supported by governed agent layers. Parallel agent execution handles the tracking and drafting, allowing a unit of 3 to 6 personnel to handle the workload of a traditional 20-person team. A structured operating layer replaces sequential, manual handoffs with parallel automated execution. This architecture allows a firm to scale its delivery without the typical cost of added coordination.